Good morning, everybody. What up, Shane Lalone, Mr. Pekka, Stephen Parsons, Transcendental Artist Studios, Jack Pines, Bortagov. What up, what up, what up? Brom. How's everybody doing today? What's up, John Burnell? Yep, go back to bed. Nobody wants you. No, I'm just playing. We love you. Um, Happy Sunday. I'm sure it's been a week, and Sunday through Saturday is a week. They call the Saturday and Sunday the weekends because it's the beginning end and the ending end of a week. So that's the two ends of a week, and it's just coincidence that they lump them together. Because everything is circular. I guess I don't know. Rambling, but speaking of weeks. How was y'all's week?
I'll go first because mine's nice and short. I had a week. It was one of those weeks where it was a non-starter. I wasn't feeling it. I became one with the couch. I melded into the couch and only peeled myself off to go to bed. I couldn't quite catch up on sleep this week, so I did absolutely nothing. I didn't even work on my book until today. I didn't do anything outside until today. It's just one of those weeks where I had no energy. So I decided that it was a perfect week for self care. So I just did nothing and relaxed and allowed my batteries to recharge. And today, of course, I got out and was able to mow my lawns and do some yard work. And the wife and I put some gardens in and, dump run and got a fair bit done. She put a path in one of our gardens as well, so did some paving and whatnot. So a busy day today, but yeah, it was a non-starter week for me. So, but I definitely need it's coming the end of wet season, so it's the season is changing, so feeling a little bit flat, and brain isn't kick-starting. So I'm like just even forming words. Words is hard. Words is hard today. So yeah, just trying to get everything in gear and then staying up tonight so that I can go back to work tomorrow. Of course, it's midnight here in Australia at the moment. Where I'm in Australia, it's a little bit later on the east coast, a little bit earlier on the west coast, but it's central Australia where I live. It's midnight, so yeah, just plodding along. See, English is hard today, and just taking it easy. And then hopefully my next week off will be a lot more productive in the way of getting things set up and done and ready to go for things I need for the next few months. And of course, at the end of next month, I'm going away on my honeymoon, so I've got a whole heap of ducks to get lined up so that they don't go, so I don't have to go wrangle them right before I leave. So yeah, that was my week. Nothing happened.
Hey,
So,
that's all
Sully, how
right.
about you?
Yeah, my week was kind of interesting, I guess. It's kind of running together now. It seems like um, yeah, no, I didn't do much. I only worked a couple days, and this is my weekend off, so I'm at home on days off. Um, this is also winter's last grasp down here in Texas, so you up yesterday it was like 30 degrees. Today it's going to be 71. Tomorrow it's going to be 82. So I mean we're getting into springtime around here, and it's time to start thinking about what plants I want to grow this year. And I was talking with Jurgen yesterday, and yeah, that was we were talking chilies and all that in Jackstream, and it's like last year I had all these different plants, and I only got one little bitty Carolina Reaper that was about the size of an almond, and I mean the plants were huge. I mean like 3 feet tall, and they flowered all year long, and the flowers just fall off, and they never did produce until right before winter. And
Right.
so this year I'm gonna grow here at my house instead of at work, and because I've got one of them little what do you call it, the little deals with the drip watering system that runs on a timer and all that. So I can just
Right.
hook it up and let it go, and it'll water once a day or once every other day or whatever I set it at. I think it's every other day is what I set it at. But yeah, and I think this year I'm just gonna go with Hatch green chili and Hatch red chili, and go with that because that is yeah, I mean it's fairly local, as in it's grown like 200 miles from here. So um, yeah. Well, Drew, tandem operators get days off whenever they ask for them. The company I work for is pretty good about, they never tell you no on days off, except for the 2 weeks of Christmas and New Year's. Nobody's allowed to have those days off except for December 24th, 25th, and 26th. We're closed those 3 days, and so nobody's allowed to take off any days on either side of that because like everybody wants off for Christmas and stuff. But other than that, they'll let you have any days you want. You just put it right down on the paper. They put it on a board, and they figure it out and make it work. If that means they got to hire a third party to run a bed truck on a rig move, that's what they'll do. And so, me personally, I get the third Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of every month, and I take that because that's when I coordinate all my any appointments I might have with this, that, the other, and that way I can get it all done in one weekend, and I'm not having to take off this day for that day for this, and back and forth and back and forth. The last exception to that is next Friday. I've got my annual doctor's appointment. The annual checkup thing. I got that going on next Friday, and then at that one, when I schedule the one for next year, I'll schedule it for the third Friday of February next year. So. But other than that, it's been a little bit too cold for me to get out and do anything. I mean, it's technically not too cold, but I mean, I'm a wuss and I'm not going to get out there and mess with it. So I actually bought Universe Sandbox the other day on my PC, and that's kind of addictive. Like, drop a couple stars in the middle of a solar system and watch them spin around and collide and go supernova. And my grandson is completely obsessed with Minecraft. And we went to town the other day, and on the way back, I was like, hey, remind me to show you Universe Sandbox when we get back. And oh my gosh, and he just sat here yesterday for like 6 hours, blowing stuff up and dropping black holes into the middle of galaxies and stuff, and then he'd be like, Papa, it's messed up, come help. Because I mean, my computer's not that big. I mean, so you can get a simulation going that freezes everything up, and my computer just goes, I don't know what to do. Like I opened up one simulation, it was Earth with 5,000 moons, and it ran for 3 seconds and then froze up. And I was like, oh, that's a little bit too intense. The algorithms there are a little bit much for my machine to run, so I'll never have to open that one. And so every once in a while, he'd go a little bit too far and get too much going on, and I have to come in and shut down the program and restart it. But other than that, I didn't do squat this week. I did make some corned beef and cabbage last night for dinner. It was amazing. I'm the only one that ate it, but hey, some people just kind of can't appreciate good food. So,
Right.
Yamez, how was your week?
Right. Firstly, I think I'm hearing an echo. Not sure who from. There it goes. My week also was a week. It was a weird one. It was another one of those work weeks that was like extremely busy, but it was a lot of hurry up and waits. Like 3 out of the 5 days I worked was a really busy morning job, and then the second job in the day, like, oh, you can't be here until 1 or 2, and it's like, okay, so that's like not enough time for me to run over to this other job, as filler work, and then come back and get to it in time or whatever. So it was like I had like 3 days where I took like 2-hour lunches. It's like, come on. So it's been a week, for that, but it is what it is. Speaking of which, I gotta finish some job reports and fill out my timesheets. Aside from that, not to go into crypto, but a real big thing that happened for, for me this week is one of the big cryptos that I'm heavily invested in had a merger of its ecosystem tokens, and we had a successful launch, and I've been moderating that chat, and it's like, oh my god, the amount of scams and bots. I've got like 5 scammers impersonating me, and it's like, come on guys. It's one guy popped in and accused me of being a scammer. I'm like, no, I'm not, I promise. you know so it's like, you were talking to the wrong Yamez. You were talking to Island Metal Forg, not Island Metal Forge. So, it's been like that. Other things that have gone on. Let me see. Thursday and Friday, it was like 75, 76 degrees here. Gorgeous out. I sat out on the porch for hours, just enjoying the weather. And then I woke up Saturday morning, rearing and ready to go. Stepped outside in my shorts. Didn't even look at the weather. I'm an idiot. And apparently the storm that happened Friday night, brought a cold front. I stepped out. It was 32 degrees. That's Fahrenheit. you know so what's that in Celsius, like 2?
Zero.
Huh?
That's 0.
0, yeah. So it was like, yeah, let's not do this. It was like one of those, I walked outside. Huh?
Far too cold for this tropical boy.
Yeah, I stepped outside. I stepped outside, was I didn't make it 2 steps, and I was just noped right the hell around. I turned right around. I'm like, nope, and I became one with my couch for the day, and yeah. So, but yeah, gorgeous week, and then just a bitter cold weekend. I think right now it's 45 degrees. So, warm enough to get out there and do some stuff. And of which I may, because of last week missing the evening live stream, I may start my evening live stream a little bit early tonight if I get a chance to. Just because. So, fingers crossed. Don't know what I'm going to do on it yet, but I'm going to do things. Things and stuff. Things and stuff.
All right.
One of the possibilities I was toying around with is seeing how small I can create a little figurine. Like taking some 1/4-inch square bar and making it, trying to make a little person, and seeing how small I can do detail work. Because with the Kraken idea, I think it would be neat to have, as small as I can forge them, little people, on the ship, or like crawl, being grabbed by the Kraken or whatever, So we'll see what I can do. That's just a little thought I had. So that was my week, and that was a moment in time with Yamez.
Yeah, I was gonna. Shane Alon said he gets looks from people when he walks around in a t-shirt at 32 degrees, and then you hear him say, "Oh, he's Canadian." Well, that's honestly, it's so regional, because like when I lived in Wyoming, it could be anywhere between 5 below and 20 degrees, and I could literally walk. It was about a 100-yard walk out to my big truck, and I could walk out there in t-shirt and shorts, and go start the truck and pre-trip it, and then walk in and it was a little bit chilly out there. It wasn't really a big deal. I mean, here in Texas, yeah, I walk outside. If it's 40 degrees, I'm like, whoop, turn around and go in to get a hoodie or a jacket. It's it you know it's just weird, and maybe it has something to do with altitude and air density. I don't know, but yeah, when I went up in the mountains, man, it's not that cold. It's 15 degrees. It's fine. you know, and you know, anything below 50 here, it's like, oh, we're gonna die. So yeah,
At at what is it? 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Is it? No, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, 40 degrees Fahrenheit, right? I'm wearing about 6 layers of clothing. That's ridiculous. That's 4 degrees Celsius. That's cold. My average temperature here for me is between 86 and 100 degrees, and I wear a long sleeve shirt and jeans with boots in that weather. if it gets to 25 degrees Celsius or below 80, I start wearing jumpers or jackets. I start wearing coats. That's cold. Below that's cold. I know I'm gonna suffer when I come to the US, aren't I?
In September, I don't know. I mean, it's September, especially up there in the coffee grounds. It's nice, and it's like nice and shorts weather during the day, and then at night, as long as you have you know either a pair of jeans and a jacket to toss on, or a snuggie, you should be fine.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
I'm I'm
the
hiring
evening
I'm hiring a Winnebago.
They say
Well,
the evening temperatures up there will be up around, between 4 and 8, I would say, Celsius. And I mean, come on. I mean, as soon as the sun goes down, you're going to go hide in your Winnebago, and you're not going to sit around the fire BSing with the rest of us. Come on, you
yeah,
can't be
no,
like that.
I'll steal
Hey,
your keys.
last time I went down to WA, and you can ask Sam Towns this, right? It was around 8 to 15 degrees Celsius, which is, hang on, so it was around 46, right? When we started up his gas forge in the morning, I was nearly inside it. I was that cold. I was literally standing around his forge, warming myself up with his forge because I was that cold. So yes, I will sit around the fire with you guys, but I'll nearly be in it.
Right. Yeah. And you
Yeah,
know what?
I've been known to melt my socks on the
I,
fire.
I
So
was I was just gonna say there have been plenty of melted shoes and socks. Hey, Roy.
Hey Roy. Now I forgot what I was doing. Stop the thing. Forgot to start again. Don't you hate that?
Yeah, I apologize. My attention is a little split. Don't know, Jay. I don't know if you're watching as a lurker right now, but hey, how you doing if you are? Actually, just chit chatting right now with a promoter, a marketer, who might be interested in promoting and marketing this show and this channel. So, uh, I'll talk to you guys about that later.
Yep.
hit that staff meeting.
Yeah. But yeah, so like we said, it's a week. Now our topic today is something that's, oh no, I actually need to change I forgot to change what's the name of this show? Is the name of this show correct? Did I change that? Yes, I did. Okay.
It's H-13 and quarter work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the topic of the week, H-13.
I totally screwed my flow up. Yeah, the topic of the week is another one of those subjects, much like last week, that has a little bit of side A and side B, and then those of us in the middle who can't even afford it. So, H-13 called H-13 by some, and love, huh? H-13 by some, and loved by many. So yeah, one of the big my first introduction to H-13, and my like when I think of H-13, I think of Holland anvils. They make their anvils out of H-13, I believe, and that is true. Yeah, their anvils are H-13, right? Yeah. And Roy about preheating again. Come on. But yeah,
Yeah, fool me once, Roy.
you're gonna draw me into that. Yeah, H-13 anvils, nice and hard, and I believe Alex, you use a I keep wanting to say H-13 anvil, and have no issues. It is a the gosh, somebody help me. My brain is locking up, I swear.
I don't know what you're trying to say. There's no way we can help you when you right. No
Yeah, I
offense
know.
to
I'm
our
just waiting
listeners that
for you
have
to
a
send it over
stutter,
to
but
me. You know.
I have the thoughts in my head, just I do.
I mean, like I'm sitting here with it ready to go. Well, you can't see that, but yeah, I'm sitting here ready to go, and you're just like stumbling through a bunch of stuff, and it's like, come on, Yamas, come on, Yamas,
Yeah,
just just
I'll let the
stick a fork in it.
I'll let the adults talk. Just trying to give a good
where? What
introduction.
adults?
H-13 tool steel. It's a very versatile chromium molybdenum hot work steel. It is widely used in hot work and cold work tooling applications. The hot hardness of H-13 resists thermal fatigue cracking, which occurs as a result of cyclic heating and cooling cycles in hot work tooling applications. Because of its excellent combination of high toughness and resistance to thermal fatigue cracking, also known as heat checking, H-13 is used for more hot work tooling applications than any other tool steel. Because of its high toughness and very good stability in heat treatment, H-13 is also used in a variety of cold work tooling applications. In these applications, H-13 provides better hardenability through hardening in large section thickness and better wear resistance than common alloy steels such as 4140. Also available as electroslag remelted and vacuum arc remelted products as well. The remelting process provides improved chemical homogeny, refinement of carbide size, and the associated improvements in mechanical properties and fatigue properties. Various applications include inserts, cores, and cavities for die casting dies, die casting shot sleeves, hot forging dies, extrusion dies, plastic mold cavities, and components that require high toughness and excellent polishability. Um, it is 0.4% carbon, 0.4% manganese, 1% strontium, 5.25% chromium, 1.35% molybdenum, 1% vanadium, and then the rest is iron. But so it's also used. I'm done with that. I think critical temperature. There we go. That's the other one. The critical temperature is 840 degrees Celsius, which is 1544 degrees Fahrenheit, and preheating to minimize distortion in complex tools. Use a double preheat. Heat at a rate not exceeding 400 degrees Fahrenheit per hour to 1150 to 1250, equalize, then raise to 1500 to 1600 and equalize. For normal tools, use only the second temperature range as a single preheating treatment. Anyways, we typically get to use H-13 for, well, okay, so there is the Holland Anvil products, which I have had no problem with. I do have a 190-pound Holland Anvil, and I'll absolutely love it. I really do. And there are rumors that go around that say that could be problematic because this, that, and the other. And I don't know. I don't think that's going to be a problem for me. I do have the only other tool that I have that is H-13 is my hammer eye drift, and I've had that for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years, and I've drifted 14 hammers with it, and I've never had an issue. I've had to grind off the mushrooming on the top a couple times, but other than that, I've had no problem with it. Every once in a while, it'll take a bit of a bend or something like that in the hot when it starts getting a little bit red from using it, and just kind of tap and straighten it back out and set it off to the side. I also don't like dunk it in water to cool it off, so there's that. But I've never had any trouble with it, and people are like, "Oh no, it's going to explode! It's going to explode!" Well, I'll wait until it explodes because so far it hasn't, and let's just hope I don't die when that happens too. But I've had no issue with it, and a lot of people here have messed with H-13 in different capacities, whether that's making punches or chisels or any other type of tooling. Uh, in my opinion, it's pretty good stuff. I mean, I've had no issues of what my anvil is air hardened to like 56 Rockwell, which I think that's pretty decent. Um, yeah, I mean, I like it. It's really it's for me, it's really good steel. I like it. It's yeah,
Yeah.
anvil isotopes. Okay, well, that would be as they get smaller and smaller, and you get these little bitty miniature anvils, the baby ones. Yeah, that's what you would call that there, trail dust.
What is it?
Yamez, you got anything to add?
I have a baby
No,
anvil
no,
isotope.
I didn't think
What? No, I was gonna say, yeah. I have a little baby anvil somewhere that's it's actually it's an anvil isotope. It used to be a large steel anvil, but as it got smaller, through isotopic divergence, it turned into brass. That's science and true. But no, on the H-13 thing, um, I'm so glad Sully froze because I don't want to get yelled at. On the H-13 thing, like exactly like we were talking last week about 52-100, mass matters, and sure, if you take a steel that has work hardens and has a potential fracture point and whatnot, and you're wailing on it with massive hammers and constantly using it as a struck tool or whatever with a striker and a 16-pound sledge, sure, it'll increase the odds of that happening. But like you say, Alex, swinging a hand hammer at it, using it as a drift, you're not putting that much force comparatively to it. So like the argument, it's people arguing the book, the readout, the book knowledge of what H-13 is compared to the practical use case of the different scenarios. So arguer's gonna argue. you know
Yeah, no, and I've never forged H-13 myself.
Me neither.
I just have an anvil that was made, and I bought the drift. And now the person that made my drift complained profusely about how hard it was to work. I personally have never worked it, so I can't say. I know there are some people here in the chat that have tried H-13 on a few occasions, and and something that I've never seen that I'm curious about, and I want somebody to tell me why it's not a good idea, is an H-13 hammer. Hmm?
I think that falls under the same argument of a 52-100 hammer. I don't know because, again, I have not personally used H-13. I have not personally forged with it. I have not personally forged it. But like I just said, it might possibly be the argument of practical versus book knowledge. If you don't try, practical use case of something. I mean, a lot of the steels and a lot of the data specs and everything of a lot of the steels that general blacksmiths use, like I've forged steels where you look at the spec sheet and it says not forgeable, or something like that, or the heat treatment or whatever is like so precise and so specific. But it's like if you're just using it as a chisel or something, like, or using it as a hot tool or whatever, like whoop-de-doo, so we
I think it
blacksmiths.
could be more of a case of I think it'd be more of a case of it's not that it can't be used for a hammer, but as you said, it's got 0.4 carbon, so it's a medium carbon steel at best. So considering hammers are generally made from a high carbon steel, then we know you can make hammers out of wrought iron, and then you can make hammers with wrought iron with hardened carbon steel faces, and then you make them carbon. So you can make a hammer out of H-13. It's just, why make it out of a material that's less suitable than steels that we have that can do the job? If you had the choice between H-13 and Flutagon or 15 and 20, why make the hammer out of that something that's not overly suited for the purpose? It's good, it's suited for struck tools and stuff like that, because it's tough, it holds its shape in heat and stuff like that. Okay, but yeah, it's less suitable. Not that you can't do it, it's just also because it's tough to forge, and it's tougher to forge and punch. Why put yourself through that hell in order to do it? You know what I mean?
Right.
And on the other hand, also is also cost. It's not very cost effective because
Right.
H-13. I mean, if you're buying new stock, H-13 is up there among the most expensive steels you can buy, and so yeah, definitely you can have a lot better cost effectiveness with say 4140 or 1080 or 1040 or something in that area.
Right.
Yeah, and Roy says if hardness is equivalent to brittleness, then proper heat treatment focused on a specific HRC would eliminate any danger.
Right. Right. And that kind of goes for any steel. I'd like to address Drew Wilson says, so why are we talking about a steel no one has dealt with? That's not exactly true. Like I said, Alex has a H-13 anvil and H-13 tools. So we do have somebody in the chat with a practical use of H-13, but more to the point of talking about steels that we don't use. We do that a lot here, and some of the things that we talk about, it's less of a hey, here's my experiences with it, and more of a here's some information on it. If you're interested in trying it out, or like the case of radium the other week, here's why do not try it out. It's a topic of discussion. And H-13 is a decent topic of discussion because here we have Alex, who has an H-13 anvil, H-13 struck tools. We have a company that is well known in the blacksmithing community for H-13 tooling.
And they do make a variety of tooling. I mean, it's not just anvils. I mean, they make swage blocks. I mean, every year they come to Quad State and they've got like 15 new items that are up on the table there that they're now offering. I mean, so what started out as just a couple sizes of anvils has now grown into quite a plethora of offerings. So
right.
Yeah.
So
and to further that, to take it back 130 odd years, these types of discussions have been happening in blacksmithing forums for at least that long, and I can talk from my research in that they discuss not so much exactly H-13, but they discuss what was better between wrought iron and mild steel, or they would discuss how to forge aluminium, or even though a lot of blacksmiths didn't use it, or how to forge brass, and talking about and discussing the new steels that were coming up, and which was better, Swedish or Norway iron. So these are discussions, these sorts of discussions.
the Viking steel.
It's these were in magazines and stuff like that, and it wasn't just for the people that had used them. It was to get the knowledge out there for the people that hadn't used them or were curious about it, but might not necessarily want to or hadn't had the opportunity to quite take that plunge into using them yet. So it's that's another aspect of the discussions.
Yeah. So it's exactly that. It's information to discuss you know, what if we discover some unknown use by speculating on, hey, maybe somebody should try this, and oh my gosh, we just discovered a whole new use for dot dot dot, you know. So yeah.
It'd be a H-13 ammo would be really interesting, considering it does. Anvils are made out of it. If it's got, if you can do the right heat treatment, particularly if you've got a heat treating kiln and stuff like that, I think it would probably make a really good hammer.
Much like
It's just,
A33.
that I reckon. Yeah, but I think particularly with the punching process, you probably want something like a hydraulic punch setup, so that you can just, you're not wailing on it for hours and trying to keep it up to temperature in order to forge it efficiently. So that way you can just go and punch the hole out and be a bit easier. But it'd be an interesting exercise, and be curious to try it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder, that whole topic of discussion of different steels that, may or may not have been used. Like, my favorite hammer steel, A33, like, when that, as far as I know, it's still, people are still trying to convince people that it's a damn good hammer steel, like there are people out there who think that it's, crap for hammers, but I've been using A33 for years and years, and I freaking love it. Like like really debating on going to the guild and buying the 5 foot that they have left, the 5 foot bar stock that they have left for, all my hammers. But this is about H-13 and not A33, so I shouldn't fanboy out.
Right,
But I mean,
right.
and that's
And to
another
be
thing,
fair,
like
when you say years and years, you mean two.
Huh? You broke up a bit.
looks like
All right. Well,
looks like I might have frozen too.
3 for years and years, really two.
more than two. No, it was I made my first hammer at least 3 or 4 years ago in that hammer class.
I was gonna say I think I've got hammer number 13. I was gonna say I think I've got hammer number 13 of yours, don't I? Yamas, 13 or 15.
Yeah, something
And
like that.
I've had that for at least I've had that since Finn Road, so I've had that for at least 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you've been using A33 Flugon for quite a while, but yeah, no, definitely H-13. I reckon it would be an interesting hammer material. It's definitely, as we know, it's definitely good for struck tools, particularly tools that need to be hard wearing. Like anvils, like your hammer eye drifts, like your they also make really good guillotine tool dies, and yeah, hydraulic press dies, because they are tough. That's a very tough steel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I hadn't thought of right there. Like dies for my guillotine. Yay. Because like I've got a couple a couple different butchers with different angles on them, and on occasion I do have to run a pass across one of the sides, or maybe even both sides, with the belt sander or what have you. Um, I'm, but they are my dies are mild steel, so yeah, that's actually not a bad, because you could just buy the bar stock in the correct size for the guillotine tool and just cut it. I'm gonna have to look into that.
That's not a bad idea. I use H-13 for rivets, but I'm an idiot.
That sounds like a lot of work for like very little return there. Yeah, let's use an H-13 for rivets.
Hey, I want to make a pair of titanium tongs. Might as well use H-13 rivets for it. But no, Drew Wilson, yes, I also would like to get my hands on some H-13 to try it out. But yeah, Finally, something we agree on. Yamas is an idiot. But yeah, so it's like, to be fair, the examples of H-13 that I've seen have all been, cast um, H-13. Like the anvils, and are the the H-13 drift you have, is that forged out there, or is that
Yes, it's
okay? Okay, I thought
really
Holland.
bad.
I thought the Holland anvil drifts and stuff were ductile iron. Is the
No. I didn't. Mine wasn't. Mine wasn't. No, mine was hand forged by a member of the community. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Christ Center Ironworks says H-13 hammer would be fine as long as it was heat treated properly. It would suck to forge though. Yeah, I don't have the proper heat treatment to do much, so I probably wouldn't make a hammer from it. Not
Well, I
because
mean, it is just an air cooled steel. So I mean, there's that. I mean, you really don't do anything with it. Just heat it up to that 1500 degrees, 15 whatever it was I said earlier. I got it right here. 1544, and set it off to the side.
it doesn't have to cool in like vermiculite,
And
or it doesn't
nope.
have to slow cool. It's okay.
Okay. Nope. It's regular room temperature air cooling.
But which room? Like, because
Well, okay. The
set.
bathroom. Man, the bathroom. Where else would you air cool?
Well,
Air hardening steel.
it's for example, like if it is 104 degrees in my shop, and I cool, set it down, like that's cooling 30 something degrees hotter, ambient room temperature. you know is that like how fragile of a does it require? You guys are looking at me
Right.
like I'm an idiot, but
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, we know the austenite Martin Zedek and cementite procedures of heat treating steel. Sometimes you just take it. You're not that silly, man.
Oh.
Okay. So the actual heat treating information is quenching is air, pressurized gas, or warm oil. Section thickness up to and including 5 inches will typically fully through harden when cooled in still air from the austenitizing treatment. Sections greater than 5 inches in thickness will require accelerated cooling by using forced air, pressurized gas, or an interrupted oil quench to obtain maximum hardness, toughness, and resistance to thermal fatigue cracking. For pressurized gas quenching, a minimum quench rate of approximately 50 degrees per minute to below 1000 degrees Fahrenheit is required to obtain the optimum properties in this steel. For oil quench until black about 900 degrees Fahrenheit, then cool in still air to 150 to 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Tempering. Temper immediately after quenching. The typical tempering range is 1000 to 1150 Fahrenheit. Hold at the tempering temperature for 1 hour per inch of thickness, but for 2 hours minimum. Then air cool to ambient temperature. Double tempering is required to maximize toughness and tool performance. A third temper is often used as a stress relief after all finished machining, grinding, and EDM work are done and completed on the tool. So there is the actual
Okay, so I would
quenching
have to
and
crank
heat treating
my
process.
so I'd have to crank the heat in my room up to 1,000 degrees to temper it. That's a hot
Right.
room temperature. My toaster oven don't go that high. So to temper it, I would need to make sure that I keep it at 1,000 degrees or 2,000 or for 2 hours, because it's a hammer, not a because it's thicker than 2 inches or whatever.
That's actually pretty crazy. That tempering temperature is really high. Wow.
So
It is.
it's
Right.
not
So that's
it's not
that's
just
probably,
setting it aside and then using it. Like
Right.
that's it actually has a specific and intricate tempering
Yeah.
procedure.
and
Now
to-
this
yeah,
quenching and
see,
tempering
that's the
process
funny thing that
is for like like production type stuff, that they do in a factory or whatever when they're making production tooling dies and stuff like that. So
Right.
But you still want to eyeball it in that degree. But I mean, if you think about it, like getting like the 1500 degrees for the hardening process is really easy for H-13. From from the sound of it, you get it up to temperature around 1500 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 800 odd degrees Celsius. Then you pull it out and leave it, for all intents and purposes, call it room temperature. So let's take a hammer for example, which at most is generally about 2.5 inches wide at the outside, at the high side, right? So that would be able to be air cooled, no worries. You wouldn't need to be able to use pressurized air or anything like that, right? Then you have to take it once it's cooled to temper it. The tempering seems to be the pretty difficult thing, considering you have to take it up to 1000 degrees Fahrenheit or 537 degrees Celsius, right? Which most ovens that I've ever come across, like regular ovens, if you're trying to do the old oven tempering, generally only go up to about 350 degrees Celsius. That is 600 odd degrees or 660 odd degrees Fahrenheit. So they don't go much higher than that. So you'd actually need a tempering oven or access to or access to a ceramics kiln or something like that in order to hit the temperatures, in order to heat treat it, which I think and Roy's saying hence his comment about being properly heat treated, but so it's not so much hardening the tool that's the issue, it's the tempering, to make sure it doesn't crack and has the best possible lifespan that it can get. You could probably do it on a low, particularly with a gas. If you had a gas forge, a low set gas forge, because I mean about 800 odd degrees Celsius or 1000 degrees Fahrenheit is generally around that black hot to very, very, very dull red in the dark. This is just roundabouts. It's not exact. I'm not talking exact temperatures here, but for regular steel, that's around the temperature. So if you were able to get a relatively accurate read on your if you had a gas forge, for example, and set it down really low, you'd probably be able to ballpark it fairly well. That said, like you won't get the best performance out of that steel unless you've properly done it by the numbers. But that's true of any. I mean, even 1075, 1080, those steels. Your average home smith can get a good result out of them, but you're not going to get the best result out of them because we're not using those exacting scientific methods to get the best result that we can out of them. So I mean, if you that's so you've got to, if you're going to try something like this, you have to bear that in mind, that you're eyeballing it and you're not going to get the best result out of the material because you're not using the exacting scientific methods. These heat treating instructions are for businesses or companies that are doing have to use that to get the most life out of those parts, those pieces, those bits of machinery, for industrial use.
Right. So, point being is an H-13 hammer could potentially be a marketable item by a smith or by a company that has access to fairly accurate heat treating systems, holding it at 1000 degrees or 2000 or for an hour or for 2 hours, depending on the size of the hammer, etc., etc., to guarantee that you hit that heat treatment process correctly. So yeah.
Jack Pines asks, what is the most common use of H-13? It doesn't sound like smithing. The most common use is machine tooling, like dies for press dies and stuff like that. It's that's the main area it's used in,
So it's
and
still shaping
not
metal.
really sure.
Sorry.
It's tooling for hot work. So I don't know what Holland Anvil's like the other side of their business is, but I know that the whole they do H-13 casting, and then the whole making the anvils and the blacksmithing stuff was kind of a side project that started out a few years ago, and so I don't really know what they do with as far as on the other side of their operation. I have no idea. So, um, but that's basically it. Tooling and whatnot for hot work.
Yeah,
We do good hot work.
I do hot work.
So that includes all your drop forging dies and all that type of stuff. So forging, yes, in a way, but it's generally your drop forging is, from the information I can find, your drop forging, tooling work and stuff like that. To agree with Sully.
Yeah. But
That matters.
yeah, when he was talking about the I said that because Roy was talking about the industrial blacksmith shop, Scott Forge, had to heat their steel billets up over 3 days. If they didn't, the pure mass of the billet would tear itself apart. And as I always tell Roy, like, mass matters. I mean, I'm just trying to nail that home to him so that he knows it and he lives it. Mass matters, and I have a lot of mass, so I matter a lot.
Steve Parsons just said, "We're in America, Jack. We call it aluminum." Now,
Aluminium.
yes, it's called. We've been over this hundreds of times. That's the reason why Yamez says aluminium sometimes and I say aluminum sometimes, is because both are correct. Both are correct depending on what part of the world you were.
And I'm gonna throw in aluminum.
Aluminum.
Aluminum. LOOM. Aluminum. That's
aluminum.
Texas. Aluminum.
Aluminum. But yes, so so that's I shared my take on H-13. I'd be interested to try it. I'd even be interested to give it a good old university try for heat treating, particularly if you can get one of those infrared guns just to test test if I can get up just a piece of mild steel up to
1,000 and hold
temperature in a low, and particularly in a low, because in a low set gas forge or something like that, and fiddle around with the dials or whatnot, just to maintain, because it's got to be held there for, what did you say, what's the time it's got to be held at that
an hour or
1,000
two
degrees
depending
for,
an hour or two depending on its thickness.
and
so 1 hour
to do
per
that,
inch of thickness.
So for a hammer, for example, you probably for a hammer, for example, you probably want to do it for about 2.5 hours, and it's what 2 or 3 cycles of that.
2 hours twice, and then one more time after it's finished grind and all that, and then it's ready to handle. So once you've done all of the grinding, you want to do a third 2-hour tempering cycle.
Yeah. So I reckon I would think that considering the average forging temperature of steel is up around 18 between 15 and 1800 degrees in general, Fahrenheit, that you could probably do it in a gas forge reliably. The issue would be the fuel, because you basically, you're sitting in a gas forge for 2 hours burning through your fuel. So you'd have to try and, if you've got a kiln that could do that, maintain that temperature, particularly something electrical, to make it a little bit more efficient, I think. But I believe it'd be doable at home for the average smith with a gas forge. Maybe not so much with a solid fuel forge, because it's a little bit harder to control
Precision.
temperature over an extended period of time. But yeah, I reckon particularly with electric kiln, particularly, or if you have access to someone that has a pottery kiln or something like
Right.
that, yeah, I reckon that would be
Everybody
So
just
we can all
very
we can all just send our stuff to Roy to temper, right?
dang it, I was gonna say that.
side business for Roy. He charges for tempering.
I offer
Words.
never mind, I can't use my words.
Speaking of words and Roy and everything, Thomas Goodman keeps asking me a question, and I got something to say to Roy. I got something to say to Roy from Christ Centered Ironworks, for those who don't know. Thomas, I am going to try, but I can't guarantee anything. I still have to get my truck fixed. I'd really hate to borrow the work truck to go up there, but in case anything happens, it's the work truck. I would love to try. And Roy, I saw that video you posted about the tool rack vice plate. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna look into that. And yes, so and what we had spoken about the other week, I got Jess's email, but I've been super busy. Also, the freaking company that I was doing that for changed their dang logo, so I got to figure out what I can do from there. So, yeah.
I agree with Roy. Yeah, let's try harder.
I do need to try harder. Maybe I'll try so hard I'll make Damascus tonight. Actually,
look, you need to get a new truck. You need to get a new truck, dude. I mean, how long has this truck has been an issue for the last 5 years that I'm aware of? It was breaking down in 2018 quad state, dude. You need to get a new truck.
meh.
Yeah, right there, 2018. It says right below it, check your filter.
Meh. Meh.
See?
Meh. But anyway, I digress a lot. But yeah, I really just don't want to have a truck payment, so like I would, when I get a new truck, I want it to be, here's the $50,000 cash, or here's the $80,000 cash. I don't want it to be like, all right, I got to get a bank, I mean, I got good credit and everything. I just don't want to pay, the freaking, $300 a month required, or whatever the interest rate on a new truck would be. I like to own my things. I don't like to, owe money. But that's just me. That's my personal, way of doing things. So
I'm just giving you curry there, Yames.
And honestly, with every right to,
it's truck is always broken down.
Yeah, it honestly, with every right, too, because I have had a lot of trouble with this truck. It is a great truck when it's running right, or when it's working correctly, but like, let's look at the history of it. A screwed up U-joint twisted my Allison transmission into two pieces and stranded me in Central Florida for 9 days at the start of a brand new job. It screwed me over. The fuel pump issue in Ohio. I had a not a tie rod. The wheel bearings go bad on me in Florida. And this constant battle I have with the leaking power steering pump. For the hydro booster. on top of other little I got an electrical leak in it, or a voltage leak in it, and it can't maintain a battery charge right now. I've had it on a battery maintainer for the past, 8 days, and I guarantee you, if I go out there and turn the key, it's not going to start. I got to jump it every time I need to use it, So it's like, yes, I need a new truck, but time is not on my side on that.
Well, I've told you your voltage drain is going to be your alternator. So,
Oh,
your alternator is stuck in the excited mode, and that draws down the battery over a course of a few days.
is that something that
And it's very common with it's very common with GM alternators.
is it very common with nearly new alternators?
It can actually happen right out of the box. A buddy of mine got a 2006 Chevy, I think it was. And like 2 months ago, he asked me to help him change alternator. He went and bought a brand new alternator, and it was bad right out of the box. We had to take it back and get another one. So,
Right. I'll look into that.
I've had that happen to me as well.
Because I mean, if I recall, the alternators for my truck are under $200. I can probably grab an alternator and swap it out.
If you own a multimeter, you can like look up on YouTube how to test an alternator and use a multimeter and check the resistance across the back and the case and this, that, and the other, and diagnose whether it's good or bad before you even buy one. So
What's to say that I even own a multimeter? I got 3 of them.
You should be in a spot.
If you don't, we got problems.
I got 3 of them. What's up, Clara? Yeah, I got 3 of them. I'll figure it out. Well, the thing is, people are getting on my case for being an electrician, not being able to find a voltage leak. I don't know vehicle electrical. I just, which is weird because it's DC, and my the first electrical that I learned was DC circuitry. I spent 2 years in a DC circuitry and advanced robotics course, and passed flying colors. But that was oh so long ago. Oh so long ago. And I don't, I've replaced that, information with, something else, with other things, like, yeah, I'm not cracking jokes about what I replaced it with. There's some horrible stuff up here.
Claire, get the car fixed first,
Yeah.
Dang it. And then I just kind of lost what I was going to say. So,
Yeah.
we're
But yeah, with all of that, I will say, we pulled a nice, put some H-13 battery or between the battery terminals right after accidentally spilling no more truck. Yeah, we actually covered, some
and then
nice.
You still have the H-13.
Yeah, and he still these. We covered some nice topic, or not some nice range of this topic is what I'm trying to say. Went from a little bit of the controversy behind it, practical use cases of it, industry use cases of it, and its molecular build makeup. And did I use that right? Molecular makeup.
Sure.
Its recipe and its heat treatment process. So yeah, I think we kind of rounded that out nicely. We made a good show, I think, despite all of our stumbles. Or am I alone in thinking that? I know that. Yeah. It's like, no, actually it was a terrible show. You're delusional, Yames. Oh, again. First my therapist, now you guys. Is it illegal for a therapist to Is it illegal for a therapist to break up with you? Never mind.
A therapist that's going out and beating on the on steel in the forge, isn't it? That
Yeah,
therapy.
yeah. Um, but yes. So, with all of that, does anybody have any final thoughts on either the topic of the week itself, or life, the universe, and everything? What's up, Xavier?
Sure, yeah, I'll go. I've got some final thoughts on regarding Yamaz's truck.
You're
No,
you're beating a dead horse.
it's not a horse. It's a
It's a,
Chevrolet.
it's a GMC.
Okay, well, same thing. So in any case, today we talked about H-13, and H-13 is it's a very versatile. So it seems anyway. It's a very versatile tool steel. Apparently, it is hard to heat treat correctly, anyways. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, I mean, it works for what we use it for, or at least for what I use it for. I do own an anvil, and I know Roy probably has some swage blocks and stuff like that, and so it's fairly versatile, I would say, in the blacksmithing industry. And n- while difficult to forge by hand, um, in my experience, it shows pretty good longevity. I like it for tooling, just in for that respect. That yeah, I've gone through 2 or 3 hammer eye punches, still just got one drift though. So you know, there's that. But anyways, if you haven't messed with H-13, sure wouldn't hurt to get on the interwebs and buy a small piece and get out there and make something out of it and see what you think. Is it hard to forge or is it easy to forge? Does that depend on different variables? So get out to your forge, grab you a piece of H-13, get it hot, hit it with a hammer, see what happens. So we'll catch you guys next week for the next episode of Impractical Blacksmithing and the Sunday Morning Gathering.
All right.
Well, my turn is the week's over, guys. You know, whatever's happened to you in the course of this week. Sunday is the start of a brand new week, depending on the calendar that you run by, or it's the last day of the previous week. And so you've got a whole new fresh week to look forward to. So I recommend that spend today chilling out, or get out your workshop, do something. Make sure you do something that clears your head, clears your mind, makes you happy, so that you have a great week coming up going forward, and that next time we see you, you're all bright and happy and bubbly, and ready to tackle those projects that you've got, that we've all got banked up, or the honey-do list, as good old Rob Garman from Grandad Forge says. So we can get out there and tackle those jobs, and with a big smile on our face, and a song in our heart. And just as Jack Pine said in the chat, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Also, thanks for joining us. If you're so remember how I said I'm not Englishing well today?
None of us
I'm
are.
not Englishing. Yeah, no, it's just not working, and I am so far behind. I don't even have my script pulled up.
I
for
can
my
do it.
usual out-
I can do it.
No,
Hold on. Hold
no,
on.
You've done it before. You've done it before.
No. I've got you. Hold
You've
on.
got me.
Yeah,
Okay,
everybody's
you play it. Yeah.
silencio for 59 seconds. Give me all right.
Just say, thank you very much for listening, guys. You can find Yamez on Island Metal Forge on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find Alex at Transcendental Artist Studios on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can find me, Adam, at Speargrass Forge on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. If you have any suggestions for Tool of the Week, Metal of the Week, or any other topic, you can leave them under the hashtag Metal of the Week in the YouTube community chat in Discord, or you can email us at impracticalblacksmiths@gmail.com. If you found us on Anchor, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, or Google Podcasts, we upload generally every Wednesday, or you can join us live every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's currently 12:30 a.m. Australian Central Standard Time on Monday morning. However, you should check that against your local time, and that's located at the Island Metal Forge YouTube channel. Finally, thanks for joining us, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, or give us a star rating if you found us on one of the podcasts, and we appreciate your support. Now,
All righty. And that was Adam speaking for Adam.
that was really weird.
For those of you listening and watching, we don't hear that. That plays through the YouTube audio. We don't hear that. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. I've just got a countdown to follow. My week. No, I already did my week. Yeah. My final thoughts are English is hard. Discussing things is difficult. H-13 is an interesting steel. I hope you guys all at least, attempt to play with it a bit. I know I'm going to be looking into trying to find grab a hold of it. And yeah, just a huge thank you to everybody, to those of you in the chat, to my chat moderators, and to the channel members, and those of you who send super chats and support the channel in every way, shape, and form. Love you all, and a huge round of applause and huge thank you to my co-hosts, who today are as eloquent as I am. We had a very eloquent show. Tonight I will be on forging something, and yeah, I will see you guys all tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, and catch you later.